The first message arrived at exactly 2:13 a.m., the time when the night feels heavier than anything and every shadow in the room seems to lean just a bit closer than it should. I had been lying awake, staring at the ceiling, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. There was no reason for me to be awake at that hour, but my body refused to rest, as if it already sensed what was coming. When my phone vibrated against the wooden nightstand, the sound cracked through the silence like a bone snapping. I reached for it reluctantly, already feeling a strange coldness creeping along my skin. The screen lit up, showing a number I had deleted months ago, a number I should not be able to receive messages from ever again. It belonged to my best friend Daniel, who had died in a car accident last winter. My breath froze. For a moment, I thought it had to be a glitch, some old unsent message finally coming through, but deep down a darker instinct whispered no. I opened the message, and a single sentence stared back at me. "I am still here." The room suddenly felt smaller, as if the air thickened with something unseen pressing against my chest. I waited for logic to explain it away, but nothing came. My hands trembled as I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly, faster than any human fingers could move, faster than any system should process. "It is me, Alex. You have to listen." My heart pounded so hard my ribs ached. No one else called me Alex except him. Only Daniel used that nickname. Everyone else called me Alexander. I forced myself to breathe, but the room felt colder. I turned on my lamp, and the warm glow did nothing to soften the unnatural chill that seeped through the walls. Another message arrived. "You left me there." A sharp sting of guilt lanced through my chest. The night of Daniel's accident had been haunting me for months. He had insisted on driving me home after a small argument at a party. I told him I could walk. He drove off alone, angry, upset, and drunk. His car skidded off the icy bridge 2 miles from my house. I replay that night endlessly, thinking that if I had gone with him, maybe I could have stopped him. Maybe I could have done something. Anything. I stared at the screen, unable to form a response. Another message arrived. "No one hears me but you. You have to help me, Alex." It felt like my body was splitting in two. One part wanted to scream for help. The other part was frozen in some paralyzing mix of fear and longing. I wanted to believe this was him, but the rational part of me insisted this had to be someone sick enough to exploit the dead. Then came a picture. My blood turned to ice. It was a photo of the exact spot on the bridge where his car had crashed, but taken from an angle no living person could stand. The image showed the broken guardrail, the river beneath, and something else. Something that made my stomach twist. At the bottom of the picture, deep in the icy water, was the faint outline of a human face pressed against the glass from inside the submerged car. The expression was distorted in a silent scream. My breath hitched. There was no way anyone had that picture. Police never released accident photos. Daniel's family never saw them. I never saw them, but Daniel had. Before I could react, another message appeared. I know what you saw that night, Alex. I saw it too. It was behind you. Suddenly, every muscle in my body tightened. I turned slowly toward the dark corner of my room, the one place the lamplight did not fully reach. My eyes strained against the dimness. Nothing moved, but the air felt wrong, swollen, heavy, charged with static. I typed back what was behind me. There was no answer for several seconds. Then the screen glowed again with a message that made my skin crawl, something that followed you home. A flash of memory jolted through me the night of his accident. As I walked alone through the snow, the street lights flickered one by one as I passed. I dismissed it as faulty wiring, but then there was the sound, footsteps behind me, crunching softly in the snow. I had turned around thinking maybe Daniel had changed his mind. But there was nothing there, only the long, empty street and the wind curling through the trees. I shivered now, realizing that moment was not as harmless as I tried to believe. My phone buzzed again. It was waiting for you after I died. You opened the door for it. My chest tightened so painfully it felt like my ribs might crack. A strange pressure hummed around me like a low vibration in the walls. I felt watched, not by something human, but something hungry, patient, and close. I typed, "Stop messing with me. Who are you really?" But before I hit send, the phone vibrated again and again and again until the screen lit up with a string of new messages. I am cold. I am trapped. I am not alone. It is here. It wants you next. Then the final message. Your closet. Every instinct I had screamed not to look. My mouth went dry and my pulse hammered like it was trying to break free from my body. But fear has a strange power. It pulls your eyes toward the very thing you wish you could unsee. The closet door was half open. It had not been open before. The gap was narrow, only a few inches. But inside was a darkness deeper than anything else in the room. A darkness that did not belong to a normal night. A darkness that seemed to breathe. I forced myself to stand. My legs felt like they were filled with broken glass. I stepped backwards slowly, never taking my eyes off the shadow-filled opening. My phone vibrated again, but I could not look away long enough to check it. Then from inside the closet, something shifted. Not a sound, not a whisper, just movement. A silent, slow movement, like something rearranging itself. Preparing. I took another step back. My fingers tingled with cold. The air felt electric, sharp, dangerous. The darkness inside the closet seemed to bulge forward like a living thing, stretching as if sensing my fear and savoring it. Then my phone lit up with one final message from Daniel, or whatever was pretending to be him. Do not run. It likes when they run. My knees nearly gave out. The closet moved again, and I realized I was not alone. I stood frozen in the dim lamplight, unable to breathe, unable to think, as the closet door continued to drift open with a slow, unnatural glide. It did not move like something pushed from the inside. It moved as if the darkness itself had weight and was spilling outward into my room, searching for me. My throat tightened until I could barely swallow. I wanted to scream, but the sound sat trapped in my chest, suffocated by fear. I forced a step backward, and the floorboards creaked under my weight, breaking the silence that thickened the air. The movement inside the closet stopped completely, as if whatever was in there had heard me. My phone vibrated again on the nightstand, but I did not dare look away from the closet. The vibration rattled sharply against the wood, only making the room feel smaller and more suffocating. Finally, I tore my gaze away long enough to snatch the phone. The latest message was short and chilling. "It sees you." My hand shook so violently I almost dropped the phone. The moment my eyes lifted back to the closet, a cold sensation rolled down my spine, a chilling instinct telling me that something inside that darkness was watching with intent. The shadows stretched along the wall like thin fingers reaching outward. I blinked rapidly, trying to convince myself it was only my imagination, but the shadows did not disappear. If anything, they thickened, darkened, almost pulsed. I whispered, "Daniel, if this is you, please talk to me." The silence that answered felt wrong. It was too heavy, too patient. I realized then that the messages might not be coming from Daniel at all, but from the thing that had been waiting in the darkness since the night of his death, the thing he warned me about. The phone lit up again with another message. "You should not speak its name." My breath stuttered. A cold pressure began crawling up my legs like invisible hands gripping my skin. I stumbled backward until my shoulders hit the wall. My heartbeat thundered loudly, pounding in my ears so intensely that it drowned out everything else. The closet door continued to open just a little bit more, the hinge barely producing a sound. A sliver of deeper darkness seeped into the room. It did not behave like normal shadows. It curled and recoiled like thick smoke moving under its own will. I felt an overwhelming instinct to run, yet my feet stayed rooted to the floor as if fear had fused them to the wood. My phone buzzed again. Another message so fast it almost blurred. "Stop looking at it, Alex." Every part of my mind screamed that the advice made sense, but something deeper insisted that if I turned away, if I gave the thing my back, it would move toward me. Faster than I could scream. I kept staring at that black opening, hoping to catch any sign of movement before it reached me. Then I saw it. A thin, pale shape shifted inside the darkness, almost like the edge of a face leaning just slightly forward. Not fully visible, but present enough to make my stomach twist into knots. The shape lingered for only a second before sinking back into the blackness, as though testing me to see how frightened I had become. My knees buckled, and I slid down the wall, unable to tear my eyes from the closet. Memories from the night of Daniel's accident surged back with sudden force. The footsteps in the snow, the flickering street lights, the feeling of something following just beyond my sight. I had ignored. It convinced myself I was imagining things. Now I realized it had been waiting for an opening. Maybe grief had made a doorway. Maybe my guilt had invited it in. Or maybe when Daniel died, it found me because it wanted someone new. The phone vibrated so violently that it fell from my hand and hit the floor. The screen cracked and the light flickered. But the message still came through. Let it in so you can see what I saw. I shook my head, whispering, no, under my breath. I did not understand what it meant, what it wanted, or why it had chosen me. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Letting it in meant something irreversible, something that could never be undone. The temperature in the room dropped sharply. My breath came out in faint white clouds, as if winter itself had seeped into my bedroom. The shadows around the closet seemed to thicken and spill outward faster now, curling across the floor like tendrils of living smoke searching for my feet. I scrambled up from the floor, stumbling as I moved toward the door. My hand wrapped around the doorknob, but the metal was so cold it burned my skin. The bulb in my lamp began to flicker violently, casting strips of light across the room that made the shifting darkness even more terrifying. For a moment, the light caught something inside the closet, a glint, a faint outline, as if reflecting off an eye staring directly at me. I froze. The thing blinked, not a slow, lazy blink, a deliberate one. The shadows surged outward, as if the creature had grown excited by my fear. The tendrils of darkness stretched across the floor, reaching for my ankles. My heart hammered against my ribs. I twisted the doorknob with all the strength I had, but the door did not budge. It felt heavy, as if something on the other side was holding it shut. My phone lit up again, even though it still lay on the floor across the room. The light pulsed with a rhythmic pattern, brightening then dimming like a heartbeat. A new message appeared in large, bold text. It is in the room now. The shadows near my feet quivered with anticipation. The closet door was now fully open. I pressed my back against the wall, unable to move, unable to breathe. My body shook violently as the darkness in the closet seemed to swell, expand, and stretch outward like something unfolding itself after being forced to hide for too long. Then a pale hand reached out from the shadows. Long, thin fingers pressed against the floor, curling slowly, scraping lightly as if testing the surface. The hand was not human. The joints bent wrong. The nails were too long and too sharp, and the skin looked stretched and lifeless, like it belonged to something that should never see the light. It pulled itself forward an inch at a time, emerging from the darkness, and I finally realized I had nowhere left to run. The pale hand dragged itself farther across the floor, and every instinct inside me screamed to run. Even though I knew there was nowhere left to go, my back pressed so tightly against the cold wall that I felt the wooden frame dig into my spine. The air grew heavier, colder, pressing down on my chest until each breath came in short, trembling gasps. The darkness spilling out of the closet had weight now, a thick, suffocating presence that crawled up my legs and wrapped around my skin like icy smoke. I could feel it studying me, savoring the fear, radiating from my body. The creature pulled itself forward, another slow movement that seemed to stretch time thin. The long fingers curled and uncurled, scraping faint grooves into the wooden floorboards with each motion. The sound was a soft, dragging whisper, yet somehow louder than anything else in the room. My heart hammered so violently in my chest it felt like it might burst. The lamplight flickered unsteadily, casting moving bands of light across the creature that made its skin appear even more unnatural, stretched too tight over angled bones and joints that bent the wrong way. My phone buzzed again across the room, lighting up with a sickly blue glow on the floor. I could not move to grab it, but I could see the notification pulsing like some kind of warning heartbeat. Another message appeared on the screen, even though no one held the device. "It wants your eyes." My breath hitched. The creature slowly tilted its head out of the closet enough for me to see part of its face. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, showing faint traces of veins beneath the surface. Its mouth hung slightly open, not in a scream, but in a stillness that felt far more horrifying. But its eyes were the worst. They were hollow, sunken pits filled with a darkness deeper than shadow, as if something inside them was watching me from behind a veil of hunger. The creature suddenly froze, not because of me. Something else caught its attention. Its head turned ever so slightly toward my fallen phone. A faint vibration rattled through the floor as the phone lit up again, the glow pulsing brighter. Another message appeared. "Do not look at its face." But I already had, and the creature knew. A low, rattling sound filled the room then, like a breath being pulled through a throat that had forgotten how to breathe. The creature lifted its other hand from the darkness of the closet, placing it on the floor with a slow, calculated motion. Now both hands pressed against the wood. Its fingers splayed, its nails digging grooves deeper than before. It began to pull its full body out of the darkness. I could not blink. I could not look away. My legs trembled uncontrollably. The creature's shoulders emerged hunched and narrow, its joints protruding sharply through its skin. Its entire torso slid forward in one slow motion, and then its face turned back toward me, fully revealing itself. For a moment my vision blurred, as if my body was trying to protect me from the sight. But the image forced itself back into focus. The creature's face was wrong in every possible way. Mouth too wide, skin stretched too tightly, eyes that were not eyes at all, but voids that seemed to pull light inward. Every part of me screamed that I was staring into something not of this world, something that should never have existed near any living human. I pressed my hands against the wall behind me, trying desperately to push myself through it, as if I could escape by sheer will. But there was nowhere to go. The room felt smaller, suffocating, shrinking around me as the creature dragged itself another foot closer. The cold intensified so sharply that my breath came out in thick white clouds that floated upward slowly like smoke rising from a dying fire. My phone buzzed again with a new message. "The more you fear it, the faster it becomes." Terror surged violently through my veins like electricity. The creature's head twitched, then snapped toward me with sudden, unnatural speed, as if sensing my fear spike. Its body jerked in a sharp movement, pulling itself forward faster than before. Its fingers curled around a floorboard, and the wood cracked under the pressure. I wanted to scream, but my voice failed me. I tried to crawl sideways toward the window, but my limbs were heavy numb, as if the darkness pressing against the room had seeped into my muscles. My hand closed around the leg of my desk, and I attempted to pull myself up, but my knees gave out, and I collapsed again. The creature's hand lifted, rising slowly, as if preparing to reach out for me. Then something strange happened. My phone lit up brighter than before, the glow flickering rapidly like a frantic signal, and a new message appeared, but it was not from the dead. It was from Daniel, the name I thought I would never see again, lit up in glowing white letters as clear as the day he died. Do not let it touch you, Alex. It will take more than your eyes. My heart stopped for a moment, then slammed into motion again with renewed panic. I whispered, Daniel, if you are here, tell me what to do. The screen flickered with another message. You have to break the connection. Close the doorway. My gaze shot toward the closet. The doorway, the place it crawled from. I knew instantly that he meant the closet door. It had been open when I woke. I had not opened it myself. The thing had, or something else had, but the creature blocked the path. Its body was halfway out of the closet, now hunched, looming its breath. A faint rattling sound that made my skin crawl. Its hand lifted again, reaching toward me, the joints bending in directions that defied nature. Close it, Alex. Now! I swallowed hard, terror gripping me like claws sinking deep beneath my skin. I forced my legs to move inch by inch, painfully slow. The creature turned its head toward me, tilting it in a way that made my bones ache. It knew, it understood what I was trying to do, and it would not allow it. The shadows coiled around its limbs like smoke ready to strike. I pushed off the wall, launching myself toward the closet with a desperate burst of strength. The creature lunged forward faster than anything I had seen. Its hand slashed the air just inches from my shoulder, missing me by a heartbeat. I hit the floor hard, sliding across the cold wood toward the door. The darkness swarmed around my arms, trying to pull me back. My fingers brushed the edge of the closet door, and I grabbed it with all the strength in my shaking body. The creature shrieked, not a sound of pain, but of fury. I pulled the door with everything I had, and the room exploded with darkness. The darkness swallowed the room so completely that for a moment I could not tell if my eyes were open or closed. It felt thick, almost solid, pressing against my skin like a cold, suffocating tide. My breath hitched in my throat as I groped blindly for anything familiar, the floor, the door, the wall, but everything around me felt wrong, as if the room had lost its shape. The darkness pulsed like something alive, expanding and contracting in slow, heavy waves. A distant sound echoed in the void, a distorted, rattling breath, the creature's breath. It was still here with me, hidden somewhere in the suffocating black. My lungs burned as I forced myself to stay calm, but panic clawed its way upward, threatening to burst through every fragile piece of rational thought I still had left. Then faintly through the darkness, my phone lit up, the glow pierced pierced through the black like a weak flicker of light in a starless night. I scrambled toward it, my hands shaking violently as I reached for the small screen. The message that appeared was from Daniel again. You must finish closing it. Do not stop, no matter what it shows you. My pulse thundered. I turned toward where I thought the closet door was, but the darkness made the distance feel endless. Every direction felt wrong. Every step felt like I was walking deeper into something that was swallowing the room whole. Then a faint scraping sound echoed to my right, slow, deliberate. The creature was moving again. I held the phone out in front of me, letting the weak light guide me through the pitch black. Shadows writhed against the edges of the glow, shifting away as the light touched them, but not disappearing completely. They curled around the air like searching hands. My breath fogged in front of me, the cold biting deeper into my bones. Another message appeared. Hurry, Alex. It can move faster in the dark. My stomach twisted. I took another step forward. The floor vibrated beneath me with a sudden thud, like something large and heavy dropping to all fours somewhere close. My heart seized. The creature was no longer dragging itself. It was standing. I lifted the phone higher, and the light trembled across the darkness, revealing for a split second a tall, twisted silhouette, far too close to me. Its limbs were elongated, its spine bent backward at an impossible angle. Its head tilted unnaturally to the side, like a predator studying its prey. The moment the light hit its face, the creature recoiled with a violent jerk and let out a deep, guttural sound that rattled my eardrums. I stumbled backward, clutching the phone like a lifeline. My eyes darted around, but the creature vanished again, melting into the shadows, as if it were made of them. The silence that followed was worse than the sound itself, stretching thin with unbearable tension. I turned slowly until the faint outline of the closet door appeared in the phone's glow, barely visible like a thin vertical line in a sea of darkness. I moved toward it, my legs trembling so badly they barely held me upright. The darkness fought my every step, pushing against me like a heavy current. Halfway there, the phone buzzed once more. It knows what you fear most. Do not believe anything you see. Before I could process the warning, a soft voice echoed behind me. Alex. My entire body locked. It sounded human. It sounded familiar. A voice I had not heard since the night Daniel died. Alex, please help me. I squeezed my eyes shut, fighting the sudden wave of grief and fear. The voice sounded broken, drowned, trembling with pain. It sounded exactly like Daniel's last voicemail, the one I had never been able to delete. I forced myself not to look back, but tears welled in my eyes anyway, blurring the faint light of the phone. The voice grew louder. Alex, why did you leave me? My chest felt like it was caving in. Memories surged forward. The guilt, the regret, the night I should have gone with him. I whispered under my breath, "It is not him. It is not him." But hearing his voice again ripped looked at something inside me, something raw and vulnerable. Then the voice shifted, no longer pleading, no longer sorrowful. It became angry. "You left me to die, Alex." My heart dropped into my stomach. The voice echoed around the room, bouncing from wall to wall, as if coming from everywhere at once. I clamped my hands over my ears, but the words drilled into my skull. The darkness around me pulsed, growing thicker, more aggressive, creeping up my legs like icy tendrils. "Alex, turn around." The command hit me with paralyzing force. My breathing stopped. My muscles locked. Every instinct screamed to obey, even while every rational thought begged me not to. Slowly, painfully, I forced myself to keep moving forward. The closet door was just a few feet away now. Through the trembling glow of my phone, I could see the edge of the wooden frame. "Alex, I am right behind you." The voice was so close that I felt warm breath against the back of my neck. My entire body tensed. Tears streamed down my face as I bit down on my trembling lip. I wanted to run, but my legs refused. I wanted to scream, but my throat froze shut. "Do not look. Do not look. Do not look." I repeated it silently in my mind over and over as I reached out toward the door. My fingers brushed the cold wood. Relief surged through me like a jolt of electricity. I grabbed the edge of the door, ready to slam it shut, but then something cold touched my shoulder. A hand, thin, bony, freezing. My breath shattered into a broken gasp. For a split second, terror forced my head to turn against my will, but before my eyes could meet whatever stood behind me, I swung the closet door shut with every ounce of strength I had left. The darkness erupted with a violent shriek that rattled the walls and exploded through my skull, and the room filled with blinding white light. The blinding white light flooded the room so violently that I squeezed my eyes shut, my hands instinctively rising to shield my face. The brightness burned through my eyelids like staring into the sun, yet there was no warmth in it. The light felt cold, sterile, like the flash of a dying star. My ears rang with the echo of the creature's inhuman shriek, a sound so sharp it vibrated through my bones and left my entire body trembling. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the light vanished. The darkness did not return. Instead, the room settled into a soft, dim glow from my flickering lamp, as if nothing unnatural had happened at all. My chest rose and fell in ragged breaths as I slowly lowered my hands and opened my eyes. The closet door was shut, completely shut. No gap, no shadow spilling out, no sign of the creature forcing its way through. For a moment, I allowed myself one desperate, trembling breath of relief, but then I felt it. Something in the atmosphere had changed. The air still felt cold, but no longer suffocating. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed still, no longer shifting or stretching, yet beneath that fragile calm was an undercurrent, a tension that told me the danger was not over. Something lingered just beyond sight. My phone buzzed softly in my hand. I looked down and saw a new message glowing on the cracked screen. This one was from Daniel. "You did it, but it is not gone. Not yet." My throat tightened. I typed with shaking fingers. "Daniel, what is happening to me? What is this thing? For several seconds, the phone stayed dim. Then a long message slowly appeared, one word at a time, like someone typing with effort from a great distance. It came through the night I died. I saw it after the crash, in the water, in the dark. It followed the sound of breath. It followed fear. It followed me until I had no strength left. I stared at the words, my palms growing damp. He continued, "When I died, it looked for someone new. You were the closest. You were the one it wanted. You opened the door." A cold weight pressed against my chest. I whispered out loud, even though no one could hear me. I did not open anything. I never let it in. My phone buzzed again. The next message flickered onto the screen. Your grief opened it. Your guilt fed it. And it will not stop now that it has your send. My breath faltered, my lungs tightening as if invisible hands squeezed them. I sank down to the floor, my back against the wall, trying to steady the trembling in my hands. The lamp flickered again, this time softer, like a warning. I typed, "Why is it after me? What does it want?" This time the reply came instantly. It wants what every shadow wants when it finds a place to hide. A body, a voice, a way back. A chill deeper than anything I had ever felt seeped into my bones. The thing did not just want to haunt me. It wanted to wear me, use me, become me. I swallowed hard, my throat clicking dry. Another message appeared. It will try again tonight. When the light is gone, when you sleep, you cannot let it touch you. You cannot look at its face, and you must not listen to anything it says. I felt my heart slam hard against my ribs. I typed, "Daniel, what do I do? How do I stop it?" The screen dimmed. For several unbearable seconds, I feared the connection was gone again. But then the message slowly came through. There is only one way to cut it off. You must break the tether between you and it. The tether is made of memory, fear, and guilt. You must face what you saw that night. My breath grew shallow. I whispered, "No, I cannot do that." Another message pulsed onto the screen. "You must, or it will take you like it tried to take me." The room suddenly grew colder again, not the suffocating darkness from before, but a silent, creeping cold that crawled along the floor like a mist curling around my ankles. My phone buzzed again. "It is awake." As soon as I read it, the closet door clicked. Just once, a soft tap, the faint sound of wood shifting against wood. I froze. Then the light from my lamp flickered so violently it buzzed. The shadows in the corner thickened like spilled ink. The cold mist rose higher, swirling around my legs. My phone vibrated over and over until the screen filled with new messages flooding in too fast to read. "Alex, do not breathe. Do not move. It is listening. It is right there. Do not look." My lungs ached with burning pressure as I tried to stay completely still. The closet door creaked again, just barely, not opening, just breathing. Then the scratching began, soft at first, a slow scrape of nails dragging along wood, a patient, steady rhythm like someone tapping their fingers while waiting. The sound crawled under my skin and sent shivers over every inch of my body. I pressed my back harder against the wall, my eyes locked onto the vibrating phone screen. The messages continued pouring in. It smells your fear. It knows your name. It remembers your voice. It is learning you. Do not let it learn you. I shut my eyes tight, refusing to look toward the closet. The scratching grew louder, faster, more desperate, as if the creature was testing the door, pushing at the edges, trying to find a weakness. I whispered, "Daniel, please help me. I cannot do this." Then a single new message appeared. "You are stronger than I was. It chose wrong. Make it fear you." The scratching stopped instantly. The room fell completely silent. Too silent. Something was standing on the other side of that closet door, listening. Then slowly, painfully, the doorknob turned. The doorknob turned with a slow, grinding click that sliced straight through the silence. A sound too deliberate, too careful, too patient to belong to anything human. My breath caught sharp in my throat as the metal creaked under an unseen hand. I did not blink. I could not blink. My body locked itself in place as if freezing completely was the only way to keep myself alive. I felt every hair on my arms rise, my blood turning to something cold and heavy as the room seemed to tilt around me. The doorknob turned another fraction of an inch, then stopped. The silence that followed was heavier than the darkness itself. It felt sentient, aware, leaning in close like a predator inhaling the scent of its prey. The cold mist that had risen around my legs swirled upward, brushing my skin with the faintest touch like fingers made of ice. I clenched my teeth to keep them from chattering. My phone buzzed once. One message. "Alex, do not make a sound." I swallowed a whimper that threatened to break free as the doorknob twitched again. A soft crack echoed from inside the closet, like a bone shifting slowly under old stiff skin. The cold pressure in the room increased, crawling up my spine. My heartbeat thundered inside my skull, each pulse painfully loud in the suffocating stillness. Then the scratching returned, but this time it came from higher on the door, not from the bottom, not from the sides, from just above the doorknob. The creature was standing, the sound of long nails dragging downward in slow, deliberate strokes filled the room. Each scrape was deeper, sharper, carving thin lines into the wood. I felt every vibration in my bones as if the creature was carving into me instead of the door. My phone buzzed again. "It knows you are awake." The scratching stopped. My breath hitched. Then came the sound I feared most. Breathing, not mine. Slow, wet, ragged, like lungs filled with mud. The breath seeped through the cracks around the door, each exhale dripping with a suffocating cold that curled around my ankles and slid up my arms. I felt it on my skin, like a living shadow leaning close enough to whisper. My phone lit again with another message. "It is smelling the room for you. It cannot see you yet. Do not breathe." My lungs screamed as I forced myself to go completely still, clamping down on my breath until my vision blurred. The creature inhaled again, deeper this time, as if it were tasting the air. The mist around the closet door swirled violently with each breath it drew, pulled toward the cracks as if the creature were drinking the cold from the air. I stayed frozen, my fingers digging into the wall so hard they ached. Then something tapped against the inside of the closet door. Once, twice, 3 times, slow, rhythmic. The taps became knocks, soft at first, then harder, faster, growing into a rapid, frantic pounding that shook the entire door on its hinges. The lamp flickered violently, buzzing as if struggling to stay alive. Shadows thrashed across the walls in frantic shapes that twisted and snapped like claws raking the air. The pounding stopped abruptly. Then the creature spoke. "Alex!" The voice was wrong. It sounded like Daniel, but stretched too thin, distorted like a recording played through broken speakers. Each syllable quivered with something hollow underneath, something tired of pretending to be human. The voice slid under my skin, sharp as needles, rooting itself deep in the part of me that still mourned. Alex opened the door. "Please." My chest tightened painfully. Tears pricked the corners of my eyes. My instinct screamed that this was not Daniel, not even close. But the voice was so perfect, so achingly familiar that a part of me broke at the sound of it. He spoke again. "I need you." My phone vibrated with violent urgency. "That is not me." The creature on the other side of the door mimicked Daniel's voice again, but this time it changed. The softness died, the tone darkened, dripping with malice. "You left me to die. Now open the door and let me in." I shut my eyes, refusing to let the words sink any deeper into me. The temperature dropped sharply. Frost crawled across the wooden floor, forming thin white lines like veins spreading outward from the closet. My phone buzzed again through the icy air. "It can hear your heartbeat. Slow it down. Slow it down." How I was seconds from hyperventilating. My pulse slammed violently against my ribs. Every beat felt louder than the last. I pressed a hand to my chest as if I could force it to quiet. The creature's breath thickened on the other side of the door. Then the doorknob began to turn again. Slow, steady, unstoppable. I whispered, "No." But the sound barely left my lips. The metal knob creaked under the pressure of whatever held it. The wood strained against the force. The frame rattled. The creature was trying to come out again. My phone flashed with a new message, so bright. The cracked screen glowed white. "Alex, you have to force it back into the dark. Do not let it step into the light." Another message came immediately after. "You must show it you are not prey." My hands trembled violently. How? How do I do that? The phone buzzed again. "Stand up. Face it. Do not back away." My lungs seized. My legs felt like wet sand, heavy and useless, but I knew I had no choice. The creature was inches from breaking through the door. If I stayed huddled on the floor, I would be trapped with nowhere to run. I forced myself to rise inch by inch, my knees shaking so hard they knocked together. The air thickened like tar as I stood, pressing against my skin. My breath came out in short, trembling wisps. Another message appeared. "Stand closer to the door." My heart nearly stopped. No, I could not. I would not. But the doorknob was turning faster now. The wood was cracking. The creature was pushing through. I took one slow step forward. The cold intensified until it felt like knives sliding under my skin. My vision wavered. The pounding in my head matched the pounding against the door. I stepped closer and closer and closer, just a foot away from the closet door now. The creature's nails scraped against the inside. Its breath seeped through the cracks. My phone vibrated one last time. "Say its name." My blood froze. I typed with trembling fingers. "What is its name?" Daniel's final message appeared instantly. The thing that followed us that night, the thing in the snow, the thing that watched you walk home, the thing that waits for fear. Its name is the Hollow One. The doorknob stopped turning, the creature fell silent, and everything in the room dared me to speak. The room fell so silent after Daniel's final message that I could hear the faint crackle of electricity inside the lamp, the soft buzz of my phone working through its fractured screen, the slow, trembling rhythm of my own pulse. The name hung in my mind like frozen air, the Hollow One. Even thinking it felt wrong, as if the words themselves carried a weight that pressed against my skull. I stood just inches from the closet door, the cold radiating from it so intensely that my breath turned to fog the moment it left my lips. The wooden surface seemed to pulse, expanding and contracting almost imperceptibly, like it breathed with a slow, unnatural rhythm. The faint scratches carved into the door by the creature shimmered with frost. My phone buzzed. "Say it, Alex." My throat tightened. Speaking felt impossible. The fear lodged itself deep, coiled in my lungs like black smoke. My voice, even the thought of using it, seemed to stir the darkness on the other side of the door. But the doorknob twitched again ever so slightly, a reminder that the Hollow One had not stopped, only paused, only listened. I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice in the swirling fog, choking the air around me. I whispered, barely audible, "The Hollow One." For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the door shuddered violently. A guttural sound erupted from behind the wood, a deep, vibrating growl that resonated through the wall and up my spine. It was not anger, it was something worse. Recognition. The thing knew its name had been spoken. The air changed instantly, condensing into something thick and cold that wrapped itself around my throat. The closet door pushed outward a fraction of an inch. I stumbled back, but only a single step. The phone buzzed again so fast, the vibration nearly slipped it from my fingers. "Do not run. It feeds when you run." The shadows in the room thickened and began sliding along the floor like liquid darkness, reaching toward my feet. Every muscle in my legs screamed to flee, to bolt out the door, to escape the room entirely. But Daniel's warning trapped me in place. The Hollow One breathed again, the sound forcing the air from the cracks in the door in sharp, cold bursts. I felt each exhale brush against my skin like icy fingers searching for a heartbeat, searching for life. My phone vibrated again with a new message. "Say it again." I clenched my jaw. My lips trembled. The thought of repeating its name felt unbearable, like handing the creature more pieces of myself. But I forced the words out, a whisper full of dread. "The Hollow One." The floor vibrated beneath me. The door buckled inward, then outward, as something struck it from the inside with sudden, violent force. The lamp flickered until the room plunged into brief darkness, before illuminating again in a weak, trembling glow. A soft voice whispered from inside the closet, "Alex!" I froze. The voice was not Daniel's this time. It was my own. My heart stopped. Alex opened the door. My head spun. Hearing myself from inside the closet cracked something open in me, a terror so deep it felt ancient, primal, like hearing your own scream echo from somewhere you had never been. The voice repeated again, louder, almost pleading. "Alex, I need you." My knees buckled, and I pressed my hand into the wall to keep from collapsing. The Hollow One was mimicking me perfectly. Every tone, every breath, every hesitation. The voice was so flawless, it felt like my own consciousness had split in half. My phone buzzed violently. "Do not listen. That is how it enters." I pressed my hands over my ears, but the voice kept slipping through the cracks of my fingers, sliding into my mind from every direction, circling me like a predator that already knew the taste of my fear. "Alex, open the door. I am cold." I shut my eyes tight, fighting against the rising panic. The closet door rattled harder, the wood cracking around the frame. Cold mist poured through the widening gap, like smoke pumped from a dying furnace. Suddenly, the door pushed outward another inch, and I saw it. A single pale finger curling around the edge. Long, jointed at the wrong angles, nails cracked and sharp. It tapped softly against the door 3 times, then slowly began to slide outward. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I lunged forward, slamming both hands against the wood and forcing the door shut with everything I had. The Hollow One shrieked, a sound so inhuman it vibrated the air like broken metal reverberating underwater. I pressed my entire weight against the door, my muscles burning, my breath ragged. The creature pushed back from the other side, its strength monstrous, the wood bowing inward beneath its force. My phone buzzed again. "Speak its name. Command it. Now!" My breath trembled violently as I shouted through the crack in the door. "The Hollow One, go back." The force behind the door weakened for a moment. I shouted louder. The Hollow One returned to the dark. The creature roared, the sound piercing, furious. The shadows in the room twitching violently like shaken chains. A new message appeared on my phone. "Tell it you are not its vessel." The words poured out of me in a hoarse scream. "You cannot have me. I am not your vessel." The pressure on the door lessened. The mist receded slightly. The closet fell silent, except for the labored, ragged breath of the creature. My phone lit one more time with a single line. "Again, Alex, do not stop." I steadied myself, leaned into the door, and prepared to say the words again. But then something happened that twisted the fear inside me into something far worse. The Hollow One spoke back, not in Daniel's voice, not in my voice, but in my mother's. "Alex, honey, let me out." The moment the voice of my mother slipped through the crack of the closet door, something inside me shattered. All the strength I had gathered drained out of my body in a rush of shock and disbelief. My mother had been gone for years. She died quietly in a hospital room, her voice soft and fading, nothing like the cold imitation that seeped from the darkness now. Hearing her again in this house, in this moment, carved into my chest like a blade, twisting through memory. "Alex, honey, let me out." The voice repeated, sweeter this time, wrapped in a gentle tone that once brought comfort, but now twisted into something cruel, something that felt like poison sliding through my veins. My legs trembled violently. I pressed harder against the door to keep it closed, the wood creaking beneath my weight. "No, no, that is not her." But some part of me wanted to believe it. Some part of me wanted desperately to hear her again. Grief was a wound that never fully healed, and the Hollow One knew exactly where to strike. It wore her voice like a mask. My phone buzzed in my hand, vibrating with frantic urgency. I held it closer and read Daniel's message. Do not believe it. That is how it breaks you. That thing will wear every memory until you have none left. Tears blurred my vision. I tightened my grip on the door. The voice from inside shifted again, becoming soft and trembling, like the last night I heard my mother breathe. Alex, please, I'm scared. It is dark in here. My throat tightened painfully. My breath shook in silent gasps. For a moment, my fingers loosened on the doorknob, instinctively reaching for something that was not real. Another message flashed onto my screen. Alex, fight it. You must break the tether. Speak your truth. My truth. The words tasted bitter. My guilt twisted inside me, opening old scars I had tried to bury. I whispered through clenched teeth, "You are not my mother." The Hollow One reacted instantly. The voice changed mid-sentence, twisting into a growling shriek that rattled the walls. The temperature dropped so fast, the frost on the floor burst into sharp crystals. The doorknob jerked violently in my hands as something inside slammed against it, hard enough to crack the frame. My phone buzzed. "Say it again." I screamed louder this time, the words ripping out of my throat with raw force. "You are not my mother." The creature shrieked again, a sound so piercing it felt like needles driving into my ears. The closet door pulsed outward with each hit, as if the creature's rage had given it new strength. "Alex!" The voice changed again. Now it wasn't my mother, it was Daniel. "Alex, do not trust the messages." My chest tightened in sudden panic. My grip weakened. My phone slipped slightly in my wet, trembling hand. Daniel. The real Daniel had been messaging me. How could I know if this voice was him, or the Hollow One, or both? Or neither. The voice continued from the closet. "The messages are wrong. Open the door and see. I am here." My breathing faltered. The darkness behind the closet door shifted like a living thing waiting to swallow whatever hope I had left. My phone buzzed again, lighting up with a new message from Daniel. "That is not me. I am here. Stay strong. Do not listen." Another message appeared from him just seconds later. "Whatever it shows you is a memory twisted. Nothing inside that door is real." The pounding on the door intensified suddenly. The wood splintered at the top corner as long, pale fingers pierced through the crack, gripping the frame with unnatural strength. The nails dug into the wood, curling and twisting as the creature tried to tear the door open. My mind raced with panic, my thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and terror. I needed to fight. I needed to push back. Daniel said I had to break the tether. I steadied my shaking breath and shouted through the door, "The Hollow One, you do not belong in this house." The fingers on the frame twitched, then jerked violently. I shouted again louder, "You have no hold on me." The creature roared, the sound shaking the floor beneath my feet. Frost shot across the wood in jagged lines, racing toward my hands. The air around me froze solid. pinning breath inside my chest. A message flashed on my phone. Alex, you must reject it completely. Tell it the truth. The truth. The words carved into my thoughts with brutal force. I screamed again, voice cracking. I am not yours. I am not your vessel. You cannot have me. You cannot wear me. The hollow one shrieked inside the closet. The sound no longer pretending to be human. It was a roar of pure hunger, pure fury. The fingers on the frame slipped back into the darkness. The pounding stopped. The room went dead silent. My breath trembled in my throat as I waited for another sound, another scratch, another attempt. But the creature did not move. My phone buzzed softly. You weakened it, Alex, but it is not gone. The tether is still here. It will try something else, I whispered. What else can it do? The answer appeared instantly. Anything you fear. As soon as the message lit up, the room grew colder. My breath froze again in mid-air. The closet door began to open by itself, slowly, silently, revealing nothing but a deep blackness inside, a darkness that seemed to stretch farther than the size of the closet itself, a darkness that breathed. The closet door slid open with a slowness that felt deliberate, patient, hungry, not a creak, not a rattle, not a scrape of hinges, just silence, a silence so deep it felt like the room itself was holding its breath. The blackness inside was impossibly vast, stretching backward farther than the closet could ever physically go. The shadows inside did not just linger, they swirled, breathed, pulsed like a living organism, waiting for me to make the wrong move. My legs felt weak beneath me, trembling so hard they might give out at any second. I stepped back instinctively, the cold on the floor biting into the soles of my feet. The darkness inside the closet expanded slightly, as if drawn to my movement. My phone buzzed softly in my palm. Stay where you are. Do not go near it. For once, I did not need convincing. Every cell in my body screamed to put as much distance as possible between me and that void. I took another step back until my heel pressed against the side of my bed. The darkness shifted, not forward, upward. It rose like smoke, but heavier, pooling toward the ceiling and spreading across it like ink in water. The shadows stretched long tendrils outward, moving slowly across the plaster, curling down the walls. The entire room dimmed, as if the light from the lamp were being swallowed. I whispered, Daniel, what is it doing? My phone shook in my hand with a rapid buzz. Alex, it is testing you. It is looking for the shape of your fear. My heart slammed in my chest so hard it hurt. The shadows on the ceiling began to form into something of vague shape, hunched and long, with joints bending in unnatural directions. A head emerged from the dark outline, thin, elongated, tilting at a slow, unnatural angle. I felt my pulse spike. The shape froze. Daniel's message flashed instantly. Alex, calm down. Slow your breath. It reacts to fear. I forced myself to inhale, but the air felt like ice, filling my lungs. My hands trembled uncontrollably. The shadow shape twitched, sensing the spike of fear, and began crawling along the ceiling directly toward me. My breath hitched. The shape dropped from the ceiling, straight down, landing silently on all fours in the center of the room. It was made entirely of darkness, not solid, not fully formed, but unmistakably alive. Its limbs were too long, its posture too low, its head too still. Its body flickered like a dying flame, shifting between shapes, as if it was trying to find the one that frightened me the most. Then it stood, slow, smooth, tall, too tall. Its head almost touched the ceiling as it straightened. Its eyes flashed open, two hollow pits glowing faintly with a cold white light that made my blood freeze. My phone trembled violently, buzzing non-stop with unread messages. Alex, do not look at its eyes. Do not give it your fear. Stand your ground. Do not let it claim you. But I could not move. My legs refused to obey. My breath turned shallow. My pulse hammered uncontrollably. The creature tilted its head at me, exactly the way I had seen the faint shape do earlier in the closet. It raised one elongated hand, curling its fingers slowly as if beckoning me. Then it spoke. In Daniel's voice. Alex, come here. My chest clenched so tightly I let out a choking gasp. The creature took a step closer, a step that made no sound but shook the floor beneath me. The phone buzzed again. That is not me. The creature moved faster, its hand extended toward me, fingers stretching longer and longer until they were inches from my face. My instinct was to scream, but no sound came out. My throat locked shut. Alex, it is trying to touch your mind. Do not let it. The creature's hand hovered so close, I could feel the cold radiating from it, like winter burning against my skin. My vision blurred, my knees buckled. Then the creature leaned down until its face was inches from mine. The hollow white eyes dimmed for a moment, as if studying me. Then its mouth opened, wide, wider, wider, too wide, revealing a void inside so deep it felt like it could swallow the world. And from that void came a whisper in my mother's voice, in Daniel's voice, in my own voice, all speaking at once. Let me in. My body snapped in terror. I fell backward onto the bed, scrambling away as the creature lunged forward. Its hand reached out fast enough to blur, stretching toward my face. My phone flashed so brightly it nearly blinded me. Shout its name. Now! I sucked in a breath so cold it stabbed my lungs and screamed with everything left inside me. The hollow one. The creature recoiled violently. It shrieked a sound like metal twisting underwater, like bones grinding, like a scream pulled from a throat that no longer worked. Its shadow body flickered, convulsed, twisted. I screamed again, louder, the words ripping from my lungs like fire. The hollow one, you cannot have me. The creature staggered backward, twisting into itself like smoke sucked through a funnel. Its long limbs folded inward as if collapsing into the darkness that birthed it. I screamed again, the hollow one, you have no power over me. The shadow exploded outward into a cloud of dark mist that shot back into the closet with a force that shook the walls. The door slammed shut, hard. The lamp steadied. The shadows retreated. I collapsed to my knees, gasping for air. My phone lit with one more message. You fought it off, Alex, but the tether is not broken. Not yet. I typed with shaking fingers. What do I do? The reply came instantly. Prepare yourself. It will try to kill you next." The silence after the closet door slammed shut was so deep and absolute that it felt wrong, like the house itself was holding its breath. My ears rang with the ghost of the creature's shriek, and the cold still clung to my skin like a second layer of frost. I stayed crouched on the floor, hands shaking, lungs heaving painfully as I tried to pull air back into my body, but the air felt wrong. Too still, too heavy, too quiet. My phone buzzed once in my trembling palm. "Alex, it is regrouping." I swallowed hard, my throat tight and raw. I typed with shaking fingers, "Regrouping. How? How does something like that regroup?" The reply came instantly. "It is not a creature. It is a hunger, a shape made by fear. It rebuilds itself from what you dread most." I felt nausea twist inside me, cold and sharp. The room flickered. Just once. The light died for less than a second before returning, but that brief moment was enough to make every muscle in my body clench. This was not over. I could feel it. The closet sat motionless, but the darkness behind the door was awake. Breathing, thinking, watching. Daniel's next message appeared. "Alex, listen to me. It will not attack the same way again. The Hollow One learns. It adapts. It will look for another way in." I whispered to myself, "Another way in," as if saying the words could make them real. My phone buzzed again. "You must look around your room. It does not only come from the closet anymore." Something ice cold slipped down my spine. I turned slowly, scanning the corners of my bedroom. The lamp flickered faintly, casting trembling shadows that stretched unnaturally long across the walls. The mirror above my dresser shimmered, the reflection warping for a split second before returning to normal. My chest tightened. The Hollow One was testing new paths. The air temperature dropped sharply again until frost crackled over the floorboards. I exhaled and watched my breath drift upward in a thin white cloud. Movement flickered at the edge of my vision. I snapped my head toward it, but saw nothing. Then something shifted behind me. I turned. Nothing. The silence deepened. A new message vibrated onto my screen. "It wants you to turn your back on the wrong shadow. It only needs one mistake." My breath caught. Shadows around the room lengthened slowly, creeping across the walls like spilled ink, obeying gravity in reverse. They began to thicken, merging with each other, stretching into unfamiliar shapes. Then the scratching started. Not from the closet, not from the floor, from the walls, soft at first, light enough that I thought it might be in my head, but then it grew louder, more frantic, more eager, like something trapped in the plaster was dragging its nails across the inside of my room. Scrape, scrape, scrape. The sound circled the entire room slowly, following the walls in a clockwise pattern. Whatever it was moving, hunting, searching for the weakest point. I pressed myself against the bed frame, gripping the metal so hard my knuckles ached. The scratching stopped suddenly, then a whisper slid through the room. "Alex!" Not from the closet this time, not from the walls, but everywhere. The sound vibrated through the air, slipping through my ears into my bones. I squeezed my eyes shut, desperate not to hear, but the voice slid deeper into my mind like cold water creeping under a door. Alex let me in. My eyes snapped open. The voice came again, softer, more human. "Alex, please, I do not want to be alone." Daniel's voice, broken, pleading. I shook my head violently. "No, no, no, no." But the voice repeated, this time from the far corner of the room. "Alex, help me." Then from behind me, "Alex, I am still here." Then from under the bed, "Alex, look at me." My heart dropped like a stone. My phone buzzed so hard it nearly jumped out of my hand. "Do not look." But the voices kept coming, overlapping, twisting, mimicking the memories of the people I had lost. My mother, Daniel, myself. "Alex, Alex, Alex." Every corner of the room echoed with my name. Each voice a perfect replica, each one a lie. The air shifted beside me. I felt something cold, something close, something leaning inches from my ear. Then my own voice whispered directly behind me, "I am already inside." My body jolted with violent terror, and I spun around without thinking. For a heartbeat, I saw nothing. Then the shadow on the floor changed. The shape elongated, stretching upward. A head forming, shoulders rising, arms unfolding like wings made of darkness. The hollow one rose from my own shadow. It towered over me, a tall, impossible silhouette made of nothing and everything at once. Its hollow eyes glowed faintly with icy white light, and its mouth stretched open in slow anticipation. My phone buzzed. "Alex, you must act now." The hollow one leaned closer, its head lowering until its mouth nearly touched my face. A whisper drifted from its gaping void. "You belong to me." I screamed its name with every ounce of breath left inside me. "The hollow one." The creature froze. Its body crackled with sharp fractures of lightless energy. The room shook. Shadows split apart around its form. I screamed again, louder, voice raw. "The hollow one, I reject you." The creature's body collapsed inward like smoke being sucked through a pinhole. A violent howl shook the room as it pulled itself away from me. Shadows tore free from the walls, spiraling violently into the creature as it was forced back into the darkness that birthed it. The hollow one vanished. My knees buckled and I fell to the floor, gasping. My phone lit up with one final message. "Alex, that was close, but listen carefully. It knows your weakness now, and it will use it next." The air in the room felt wrong in a new way. Not just cold, not just heavy. It felt aware, as if the very walls were listening, waiting for me to break, waiting for a single mistake so the hollow one could crawl back into my skin. My lungs burned with every inhale, and each breath felt like it might be my last if I made the wrong sound. My phone buzzed. "Alex, listen to me. The hollow one will not attack head-on anymore. It will try to trick you. It will use what you fear most." My hands trembled as I typed. What does that mean? What else can it do? The reply arrived instantly. "It can shape itself. Using your memories, your grief, your guilt, it can build a body from what hurt you. I swallowed hard, a cold, tight knot forming in my throat. My mind raced through the things I feared most, the things I regretted, the memories that haunted me long before the Hollow One ever appeared. They were too many, too sharp. The light flickered. Before I could react, the temperature dropped so violently, it felt like winter rushed through the door. Frost splintered across the walls. The air vibrated with something heavy and unseen. Then I heard it. Footsteps, not the wet scraping drags of the creature, not the clawed taps, not the distorted crawling. Human footsteps, slow, steady, coming from the hallway. My heart stopped. The footsteps grew louder until they reached the other side of my bedroom door. My breath faltered. I stared at the door handle, watching it tremble as each footstep brought weight against the floorboards outside. Step, step, step. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside my bedroom. Silence. A full minute passed. Nothing. My phone buzzed. Alex, do not open that door. As if in response, the doorknob on my bedroom door slowly began to turn. My blood froze. Not fast, not forceful, slow, cautious. Someone testing the lock. I took one shaky step backward, then another. The door clicked softly, as if someone lightly pressed their palm against it. Then a voice spoke from the hallway. Alex, it is me. My body went cold. Daniel. The voice was Daniel's. Perfect, clear, human, just as he sounded the night before he died. Alex opened the door. Please, I need to talk to you. My phone buzzed violently. Do not open it. That is not me. The voice outside spoke again this time, shaking with emotion. Alex, I am scared. I do not know where I am. Please, please open the door. My throat tightened. Tears blurred my vision. I backed away until I hit the bed again. Hearing his voice so clearly stabbed old wounds open. He sounded real, more real than any mimicry the Hollow One had used before. The voice continued. I am sorry, Alex. I should not have driven that night. But please, I need you now. Please do not leave me again. My knees buckled. The guilt tore through me like a blade. I squeezed my eyes shut as memories slammed into me. The snow, the flashing lights, the twisted metal, the phone call that broke me. Alex opened the door. The doorknob turned a little more. My phone buzzed again. That thing knows your guilt. It is using it. If you open the door, it will take you. The voice outside whispered one last time. Alex, I forgive you. My breath shattered. The doorknob clicked. The voice grew quiet. Alex opened the door, then softly, gently. Alex, I am still your friend. I felt myself reaching forward subconsciously, my fingers trembling as they extended toward the doorknob, as if something inside me moved on its own, pulled by grief, guilt, longing. My phone buzzed one more time, but I barely heard it. Alex, stop. The door creaked open a fraction of an inch. Darkness leaked in. A single pale eye appeared in the gap. Not Daniel's, not human. Its pupil widened as it found me. I stumbled back in horror as the eye blinked once. Slowly, the eyelid stretching too far, the skin around the socket cracking like old porcelain. Then the voice from the hallway twisted into something monstrous. Alex, let me in. The gap in the door widened. A pale, elongated hand, slid through the opening fingers, bending backward as it searched for me. I screamed and kicked the door shut with every ounce of force inside me. The hollow one shrieked from the hallway, a sound so violent it shook the walls and rattled the windows. The lights exploded in a burst of sparks, plunging the room into darkness. My phone screen flickered weakly in my trembling hand. "Alex, it is changing. It will not wait anymore." I typed with numb fingers. "What now? What does it want now?" The reply came after a long moment. "It will try to enter your dreams." My stomach dropped. Daniel's next message appeared. "Do not fall asleep tonight. If you do, you will never wake up again." The darkness swallowed the room completely after the lights burst, leaving only the thin glow of my cracked phone screen to keep me from being blind. My heartbeat thudded so loudly that it felt like the sound alone might draw the hollow one closer. The cold in the room deepened until it felt like the air itself was freezing inside my lungs. "Do not fall asleep." Daniel's warning repeated in my mind over and over like a mantra, as if saying it silently could keep me alive. The hollow one had changed tactics. Now it wanted my dreams, my mind, my sleep, and I was exhausted. My body trembled violently from fear and shock. My legs felt heavy. My eyelids tingled with the weight of exhaustion. Every part of me ached for rest, for a single moment of shutting down and forgetting what was happening. But that was exactly what it wanted. My phone buzzed weakly in my hand. "Alex, you must stay awake. You cannot let it inside your dreams. If it reaches your mind, you will not wake up." I swallowed hard. My voice cracked when I whispered, "What happens if I fall asleep?" The reply appeared after a long pause. "You will dream of it, and in the dream it will copy your mind until only it remains." A cold wave rolled through my entire body. I pressed a hand against my forehead, trying to fight the dizziness. The edges of my vision blurred. The darkness in the room thickened slightly, as if responding to my exhaustion. Something creaked near the foot of my bed. I froze. The sound came again, slow, wooden, like someone gently putting weight on the floorboards. My breath halted. Another creak, closer this time. Then the softest whisper slid through the darkness like warm breath against my ear. "Sleep, Alex. Just sleep." I jerked back, slamming into the wall. My breath shook in rapid, short bursts. The whisper came again, this time from the other side of the room. "You are tired. Let me help you rest." My heart slammed against my ribs. The voice was soft, soothing, like someone tucking a child into bed. My eyelids drooped slightly before I forced them open again with sheer panic. My phone buzzed. "Alex, stay awake. Talk to me." I typed with trembling fingers. "I cannot. I am losing it." Daniel's response was immediate. "You survived everything tonight. Do not let exhaustion kill you now." I blinked slowly, too slowly. The darkness around the room shifted, as if reacting to my eyelids closing. Then I saw it, a shape sitting at the foot of my bed, a human shape. A silhouette of someone sitting perfectly still facing me. My chest seized. I blinked again and it leaned slightly forward. I scrambled backward until my spine pressed into the headboard. My breathing broke into desperate gasps. Daniel's message buzzed. Do not blink. Fight the sleep. That is not human. That is not me. The silhouette slowly tilted its head in an unnatural arc. The neck cracked sharply with each tiny movement. A faint white glow appeared where its eyes should have been. Two small points of cold light watching me, judging me, waiting. My eyelids grew heavier. My mind felt foggy. The silhouette sharpened in the dim light. A faint smile tugged the corners of its mouth upward. The teeth were far too many, thin, needle-like. Sleep, Alex. You belong with me now. The voice came directly from the shape. Soft, gentle, comforting in the way an open grave might seem peaceful from far away. My phone buzzed again. Get up. Move. Do not let it trap you in bed. I tried to stand, but my legs buckled. The room tilted. My vision swirled. The darkness inside my mind was opening up. Inviting, warm, pulling me downward like thick velvet. Then something cold closed around my ankle. I screamed and kicked wildly, but the grip tightened. The silhouette at the foot of my bed slowly leaned forward, long arms extending, reaching toward me with impossible length. Its glowing eyes widened in hunger. Daniel's message appeared in bright white across my screen. Alex, say its name. Now! My head felt heavy. My voice barely worked. But through sheer terror, I let out a hoarse whisper. The Hollow One. The silhouette flickered. I said it again, louder this time, my breath shaking. The Hollow One. You do not own my sleep. The shape hissed low, the sound sharp and wet. Its body rippled like a shadow struck by light. I pushed the words out with every ounce of strength left in me. The Hollow One, you have no claim to my mind. The room shook. The silhouette screeched in a soundless vibration that rattled my bones. Its form collapsed inward like smoke pulled into a vacuum. The cold hand on my ankle vanished. The silhouette disintegrated into darkness, then shot beneath the bed in a streak of midnight. Silence returned. My phone buzzed one more time. You fought it back. But Alex, listen carefully. It knows you are close to falling asleep. It will not stop now. It will try again in another form. I whispered weakly, what do I do? The reply came with chilling clarity. You must survive until dawn. The silence that followed was the kind that made my skin crawl. Heavy, watchful, almost gentle in the worst possible way. The way a predator stays still before striking. The room was pitch black except for the weak light of my cracked phone screen, and even that glow felt fragile, as if the darkness could swallow it at any moment. Survive until dawn. Daniel's warning echoed inside me like a heartbeat. The dread settled deep into my bones. Dawn felt impossibly far away. Each second stretched out like an hour. My limbs felt heavy, my mind foggy, exhaustion pulling at me with invisible claws. That was when the bed moved. Just a tiny shift, a small dip in the mattress behind me, so slight that I might have convinced myself it was my imagination, if not for the second, heavier dip that followed. Something was crawling onto the bed. My breath froze in my chest. I did not turn. I did not scream. I stared ahead into the darkness, feeling the weight behind me grow slowly, deliberately, like someone or something placing its hands on the mattress and dragging itself toward me 1 inch at a time. My phone buzzed. Alex, you are not alone on that bed. Do not turn around. A cold shiver rushed down my spine. Behind me, the mattress dipped again, closer, and this time I heard it. Breathing, slow, ragged, wet, the kind of breathing that sounded like lungs filled with mud and rot. The warmth of it brushed the back of my neck like a dying whisper. My skin prickled, my muscles locked. Every instinct in me screamed to run, to escape, but I stayed frozen. The breathing grew louder, closer. I closed my eyes, trying not to panic, but that was a mistake. The darkness behind my eyelids seemed to move, to pulse, as if the creature was crawling inside my thoughts. A soft voice came from behind me, barely audible. "Alex, I am cold." My blood turned to ice. It was my mother's voice again, soft, warm, the way she sounded when waking me as a kid. But there was something underneath it, something hollow and cracked. "Alex, turn around. I want to see you." My phone buzzed again. Its voice is bait. "If you turn, it will pull you into sleep. Stay facing forward." The breathing behind me grew wetter, thicker. Something touched the back of my shoulder. Light, gentle, but impossibly cold. Fingers, long, thin, trembling with hunger. The voice spoke again, cracking as it shifted between tones. "Alex, why will you not look at me? Alex, am I not your mother? Alex, do you not love me anymore?" Tears stung my eyes. My chest tightened. I whispered through clenched teeth, "You are not her." The mattress groaned violently. The fingers dug deeper into my shoulder. Then the voice changed completely. It became Daniel's. "Alex, please, I need your help. Turn around. I am lost." I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. My whole body shook with grief and terror. Daniel's voice had always been my weakness, and the Hollow One knew it. The voice shifted again, layering multiple voices at once. My mother, Daniel, my own. "Alex, Alex, Alex." Then the breathing stopped. Everything behind me went silent. My phone buzzed once more. "Do not move. It is inches from you." My heart pounded so hard I thought it would explode. My breathing was too fast, too loud, too unsteady. The darkness behind me shifted again, and I felt something lean closer, a cold cheek brushing the back of my neck. My entire spine arched in horror. The whisper came again, this time in a voice that was unmistakably mine. "Sleep." I let out a broken gasp. Then suddenly the weight on the bed lurched forward violently, slamming against my back with a force that knocked the wind out of me. Its hands wrapped around my shoulders, cold, sharp fingers digging deep into my skin. I screamed and thrashed, trying to break free. My phone vibrated rapidly with a single command. "Say its name now." I gasped in air and shouted, "The Hollow One." The creature behind me convulsed. Its grip loosened. I yelled again, louder, voice cracking, "The Hollow One, you cannot touch me." A guttural shriek erupted behind me, and the weight flew off the bed. Something slammed into the wall hard enough to shake the room. The darkness recoiled from me, pulling backward like a living tide, collapsing toward the floor beneath the bed. My phone buzzed again. "You heard it. But Alex, listen. The Hollow One is angry now, and when it is angry, it becomes desperate. The room grew colder, as if the creature heard the message, as if it was listening. The mattress dipped again, this time on both sides of me. The mattress dipped on both sides of me at the same time, slow and deliberate, as if two unseen bodies were crawling onto the bed in perfect mirrored motion. The pressure pressed inward, closing me in, trapping me between whatever forces the Hollow One had manifested from the darkness. My breath caught in my throat and froze there, unable to move. The room was so silent, I could hear the faint crackle of frost spreading across the walls. My pulse thudded painfully in my ears. I clutched my phone so tightly the cracked screen dug into my palm. Two shapes leaned closer. I felt them before I saw them. On my left, a cold hand brushed my arm, fingertips dragging lightly across my skin, like icy needles tracing a pattern. On my right, something pressed against the mattress near my hip, shifting weight, moving closer with the slow precision of a predator stalking prey. My phone buzzed violently. Do not look to either side. They are not real shapes. They are memories made wrong. I clenched my jaw, but tears filled my eyes. The pressure in the bed tightened around me. The air thinned as if they were pushing the oxygen away from my body. Then the whispering began. On my left side, a voice spoke into my ear, soft, broken, trembling. Alex, why did you let me die? Daniel's voice. On my right side, another voice whispered, cold and hollow, but familiar in a way that ripped the breath from my lungs. Alex, sweetheart, do not be afraid. My mother's voice, my vision blurred with grief. The two voices overlapped, twisting around each other like two snakes coiling around my mind. Alex, Alex, Alex. The Hollow One was using them both at the same time. My phone buzzed again. It is blending your worst memories. Fight it, Alex. Fight the voices. But the whispers grew louder. Daniel's voice filled with sorrow. You should have come with me. I was alone. I needed you. My mother's voice shifted into something darker, more accusatory. You left me too. You always leave the ones you love. A soft, cold weight pressed against my left leg as if something crawled closer. On the right, a long, thin hand brushed my ribs, the cold seeping straight into my bones. I shook my head violently, choking out a whisper. Stop, stop, you are not real. Both voices responded at the exact same moment. We are real to you, and that is enough. The mattress shifted violently as something crawled up toward my shoulders. My body seized in terror. I pulled my knees to my chest instinctively, but the shapes pressed in closer, tightening their circle around me. My phone buzzed again. Alex, you must reject both voices. Speak the truth. My own voice felt trapped behind fear, but I forced the words out between clenched teeth. Daniel, you are gone, and it was not my fault. Mom, you are gone, and this is not you. The bed shook as the two shapes reacted violently, their voices cracking and distorting into something monstrous. The left side let out a wet, raspy shriek. The right side hissed like steam escaping a dying engine. They pressed closer, pressing me into the mattress. My phone buzzed again, its light flickering wildly. Reject them now. Say it, I screamed through the tears burning my eyes. You are not real. You are not them. You are the Hollow One. The entire bed convulsed. The shapes on both sides shrieked in unison, a horrible layered sound of Daniel's voice, my mother's voice, and something deeper, something ancient, boiling through the room. The mattress lurched upward, nearly throwing me into the air. Cold hands clawed at the blanket, ripping it downward like talons tearing fabric. I screamed again, louder voice breaking. "The hollow one, you cannot break me." The room exploded with a wave of freezing air. Both shapes collapsed inward, smearing into shadow like liquid darkness draining off the sides of the mattress. Their voices distorted into gurgling static before vanishing completely. Silence returned once more, heavy, suffocating, filled only by my trembling breaths. My phone buzzed again. "Alex, listen very carefully. The hollow one is losing its form. It is breaking, but a breaking thing is the most dangerous." My breath trembled. "What does that mean?" The reply came slowly, as if typed with effort. "It means it will show you its true shape next." The temperature dropped again. Under the bed, something began to move, slowly, deliberately, pulling itself out. The movement beneath the bed was slow, steady, deliberate, not the frantic scurrying of something small, not the slither of something weak. This was the shifting of weight, the quiet repositioning of a thing that had been waiting for the perfect moment to rise. My heartbeat thundered in my chest as the mattress lifted slightly on one side, just an inch, just enough for me to feel the presence beneath it, pressing upward like a body shifting its shoulders under a blanket of darkness. I held my breath. The room had grown so cold that each exhale hung in front of me like smoke suspended in the air, refusing to fade. My skin felt numb. My fingers trembled uncontrollably around my phone. A soft scraping sound began under the bed. Not claws, not nails, bone, bare bone dragging across the wooden floor. My lungs tightened. The scraping grew louder, moving slowly toward the edge closest to my feet. Every instinct in me screamed to run, to leap off the bed, to escape. But my legs felt frozen in place. My phone buzzed with a dim flicker. "Alex, whatever rises from under the bed is not a shape it has worn before. This is the thing behind the voices, the real thing." I swallowed hard, a lump of dread forming in my throat. A voice rose from beneath the mattress, but it was not a voice. It was breathing, deep, slow, ancient, the kind of breathing that did not belong to lungs or anything human. It sounded like wind moving through a cavern carved into the bones of the earth. Rhythmic, hungry, patient, the hollow one was preparing to reveal its true form. The bed shifted again, more violently this time. The frame groaned under the pressure. Something long and jointed pressed up against the underside of the mattress, making it bulge upward. My phone buzzed again. "Do not get off the bed. Do not put your feet on the floor. It hunts from below." My pulse pounded in my ears. I pulled my legs closer as the bed dipped near my ankles. The dark shape under the bed was rising, slowly, horribly. My breath caught when I felt a cold rush of air against my shin. Something was crawling closer from underneath, pushing against the mattress as if testing the fabric between us. The scraping paused. Then something tapped lightly against the underside of the bed. Once, twice, 3 times, as if knocking. My skin crawled, my vision blurred with panic. I whispered through gritted teeth, "The Hollow One, stay back." Silence. Then a slow, deep whisper rose from the floor beneath me. "Alex!" The voice was impossible, not through mimicry, not through memory. It was a voice that sounded like the absence of light, like a void shaping itself into a sound, simply to reach me. My phone buzzed in a panic. "It is speaking in its true voice. You must not answer." But it was too late. A pale hand shot out from under the bed, long, boneless, skin stretched paper thin over black veins. The fingers were impossibly long, bending in unnatural angles as the hand dragged itself into view. I screamed and scrambled backward, pressing myself against the headboard. The hand reached farther, gripping the blanket with a wet, crunching sound as if the joints cracked with every inch of movement. Then another hand appeared beside it. Then a third. Too many. The Hollow One was pulling itself out. The mattress slammed upward with a violent thud as its body pushed against the bed frame from below. The entire bed lurched, tilting as if something massive was crawling upward inside it. My phone vibrated again, the screen glitching with static. "Alex, say its name. Force it back." I sucked in a ragged breath and shouted, "The Hollow One." The 3 hands froze. But they did not retreat. They trembled, as if suppressing rage. I yelled louder, my voice cracking, "The Hollow One, you cannot take me." A guttural roar erupted from beneath the bed, shaking the floorboards. The hands clenched into claws, scraping deeply into the wood as the creature began dragging itself out faster. A 4th hand emerged, this one larger, blacker, dripping with something thick and cold that sizzled when it hit the floor. I screamed again. The Hollow One returned to the dark. The creature shrieked a sound so violent it felt like it tore through the entire house. The hands shattered like glass made of shadow, exploding into dark vapor that dissolved into the air. The mattress dropped back into place with a heavy thud. Everything under the bed went silent. I stared at the edge of the mattress, terrified to breathe. Then slowly the bed began to lift, not from crawling, not from pushing, from standing. Something was rising underneath it, something tall enough to lift the entire bed from within the darkness. My phone buzzed with one final message for the moment. "Alex, do not move. It is standing up." The bed lifted higher, slowly, silently, as if something impossibly tall was straightening its full height beneath it, letting the mattress rise with the steady inevitability of a coffin lid being pushed open. My breath died in my throat. The wooden frame creaked under the pressure, bending in ways that wood should never bend, the sound groaning like bones under strain. I pressed myself so hard against the headboard that the metal dug into my spine, my fingers clenching the sheets with desperate force. My phone buzzed faintly in my shaking hand. "Alex, do not get off the bed. If your feet touch the floor, it will take you." I stared in horror as the bed rose farther, now tilting at an angle. The mattress slid slightly beneath me. My body slid with it. I clawed at the blanket, trying to keep myself from sliding toward the edge. The hollow darkness under the bed expanded, swallowing the faint light of my phone screen. Then, in the darkness beneath the rising bed, I saw them, 2 faint white eyes, not shaped like human eyes. Round, empty, glowing with a cold hunger that froze the blood in my veins. The hollow one was staring directly at me. It was not crawling out. It was simply standing up. The bed jerked upward again, nearly throwing me off. I scrambled backward, pulling myself toward the headboard. As the mattress tilted dangerously, a deep rumbling sound began underneath. Not a growl, a laugh, low, rumbling, wet, like a sound dragged from the throat of something that had never learned to laugh properly. My phone buzzed again. Alex, it is showing its real form. Do not acknowledge what you see. Its true form is designed to break your mind. The room shook again. The bed rose higher still, now so tilted that I slid downward despite gripping the blanket. My foot slipped toward the open air, just inches from those glowing eyes. A long, thin arm burst upward from the darkness. Its fingers brushed my ankle. Cold, wet, dead. I screamed and pulled my leg back violently, barely avoiding the grip of the elongated limb. The hand snapped shut on empty air, joints cracking like breaking twigs. The hollow one hissed. The bed dropped suddenly by several inches before rising again, as if the creature were shifting its weight, adjusting its position beneath me. My phone flickered violently. Alex, say its name. Now, now, now! I forced breath into my lungs and shouted. The hollow one. The glowing eyes narrowed. The arm froze mid-reach. I shouted louder, voice cracking. The hollow one, you cannot touch me. The bed shook violently, slamming against the wall. The headboard rattled so hard, I thought it might break. The glowing eyes vanished back into the darkness, but the creature did not retreat. It changed. I heard it stretching, bones lengthening, skin tearing, joints cracking, a twisting sound like rope pulled too tight. It was growing. My heart hammered painfully. A shadow rose from beneath the bed, taller than the frame. Taller than me, taller than the room should allow. The bed kept lifting, rising with it, scraping along the wall as it tilted more. My phone buzzed. Alex, it is almost at full height. If it reaches you up there, you will not escape. The floor vibrated, then the bed stopped rising. Dead still. The silence lasted only a second. Then the bed flipped. The creature had thrown it. I felt weightlessness as the mattress lifted off the frame and my body launched into the air. I screamed as I crashed sideways, tumbling off the edge of the bed and slamming onto the wooden floor. The moment my skin touched the ground, the temperature dropped violently. My phone slipped from my hand, skidding across the floor. I looked up, and the hollow one rose from the darkness beneath the bed, its true form towering, twisted, silhouetted in bending shadows. A figure taller than the ceiling, with limbs that bent backward and sideways at angles that shattered reality. Its face was a gaping void stretching open like a mouth that had no end, and inside that void, faint lights flickered like distant stars swallowed by eternal night. My breath broke into shallow gasps as I crawled backward. The creature stepped toward me. Each step made the floorboards buckle. My phone buzzed again weakly. Alex, say its name. Now! The hollow one lowered its towering head toward me, the void of its face inches from mine, the cold pulling the air from my lungs. I screamed with everything left inside me. The hollow one. The floor split with light. A burst of force knocked the creature backward, shadow ripping from its form like shreds of darkness torn apart by invisible claws. The Hollow One shrieked a sound that shattered the air and slammed back under the bed into the darkness from where it rose. I lay on the floor shaking, barely breathing. My phone buzzed with one final message. "Alex, listen. That was not its full form. That was only the beginning." The silence after the Hollow One collapsed back under the bed was worse than the screams that came before it. The entire room felt swollen with tension, thick with cold, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath in anticipation of what would come next. Each second dragged painfully slow. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. My chest rose and fell in sharp, fragile breaths. My phone buzzed weakly across the floor where it had landed. I crawled toward it on trembling hands and knees, each movement stiff with terror. My muscles ached as if they were freezing solid from the inside. When my fingers finally brushed the cracked screen, Daniel's message flickered into existence. "Alex, listen to me. It is not retreating. It is gathering strength. When it shows its full form, you must not look directly at it." I swallowed hard. My throat was raw from screaming. I typed with shaking fingers. "Why not? What happens if I look?" The reply came after a long pause. "If you look at its final shape, you will not belong to yourself anymore." My stomach twisted painfully. I forced myself to stand, using the wall to pull myself up. The room was dim, lit only by the faint, flickering glow of my phone. The air vibrated with something unseen, like a low hum rising from the floorboards. Then the bed moved, not a small shift, a violent jerk. It slammed once against the wall, then tilted upright, standing on two legs like a massive wooden shield. Frost crawled across the metal frame in jagged patterns. The room went silent. Too silent. Then something began squeezing upward through the floor beneath the bed frame. Long cracks spread across the wood, splitting wider and wider, blackness seeping through like ink spilling from broken glass. A sound rose from the cracks, faint at first, like distant whispering, then louder, voices layered over each other. My mother's voice, Daniel's voice, my voice, dozens more voices I did not recognize, all speaking my name. "Alex, Alex, Alex." Their tone twisted from sorrow to anger to desperation all at once, an orchestra of agony vibrating through the boards. The bed frame trembled, then the cracks in the floor tore open. A hand emerged, not pale this time, black as the void inside a coffin lowered into the ground. Its fingers were long and jointed in too many places, bending backward as it gripped the wood with a slow, crushing force. The hand pulled upward. Something massive rose with it. The Hollow One. Its form was no longer human in any sense. It had grown taller, broader, its limbs stretching impossibly thin and elongated yet strong enough to split the wooden floor like paper. Its torso writhed with shifting shapes as if shadows were trapped inside it, screaming to escape. My knees buckled, but I forced myself to stay standing. My phone buzzed again, desperate. Alex, do not run. Running makes it faster. Stand your ground. The hollow one lifted itself fully out of the cracked floor. Its legs unfolded like collapsing scaffolding, then straightened impossibly tall. Its face turned toward me. It was not a face. It was a void. A hole. A spiraling black absence with faint glowing fragments swirling inside like lost souls trapped in a whirlpool. I clamped my hand over my mouth to stop a scream. Daniel's message flashed. Do not look at its face. Look at its feet. Look anywhere else, not its face. I forced my gaze downward to its feet, if they could be called feet. They were more like rooted shadows spreading across the floor like a crawling mass of living ink. Every step it took made the floor rot beneath it. The hollow one took another step toward me. The walls cracked. My phone buzzed rapidly with another message. Say its name, but do not look up. You must weaken it again. I inhaled shakily and shouted without lifting my eyes. The hollow one. The creature stopped. The entire room sighed with a deep, vibrating exhale. I shouted again louder. The hollow one, you cannot take my mind. Its shadowy tendrils recoiled slightly. I screamed again, voice raw. The hollow one, you have no claim to me. The room shook. The creature convulsed its massive frame, cracking in jagged pulses of shadow. But this time it didn't retreat. It screamed, a sound so powerful it forced me to my knees. My hands flew to my ears, but the scream pierced straight through my skull, vibrating my bones. My phone screen glitched and flickered. Every light in the house flashed violently. The hollow one's scream grew higher, sharper, bursting glass in a high ringing pitch. The ceiling fan above me ripped loose from its screws and crashed down behind me. Then suddenly everything went silent. The creature leaned down, lowering its massive frame. It brought its face inches from mine. I stared at the floor, trembling. Its breath washed over me, freezing, burning, suffocating. Then its voice whispered, "Alex, look at me just once." My heart stopped. My phone buzzed with a final urgent message. "Alex, do not look. If you do, you will not wake up again." And the creature waited, breathing, anticipating, begging without words for me to lift my eyes. The hollow one hovered over me, its impossible frame bending and folding in ways no living thing ever should. Its presence consumed every inch of space, filling the room with a choking cold so deep it felt like winter had sunk its teeth into my lungs. I kept my gaze locked on the floor, staring at the blackened wood beneath its shadowed feet. If I lifted my eyes even an inch, even a breath too high, I knew I would be lost. It leaned lower. Its shadow spilled across my body like thick ink. Its breath scraped against the back of my neck, cold enough to freeze my hair to my skin. "Alex, look at me." The whisper was no longer a voice. It was gravity, a pull, a command woven into the air itself. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. My phone buzzed in my hand, faint, almost dying. "Alex, do not look up. say its name again, break its hold. My lips trembled, barely parting. The hollow one. The creature twitched. I heard something snap inside its body, like branches creaking under winter frost. The air vibrated as it shifted its weight. Say it again, Alex. I forced the words through my shaking breath. The hollow one. You do not own me. The creature's body rippled violently. The air thinned, as if it had inhaled everything around me. My lungs squeezed, struggling for breath. Then something changed. Its shadow swelled. It grew darker, heavier, thicker, until the entire room sank into near total darkness. My heart pounded so loud I could hear the blood in my ears. Then I saw something move inside the shadow at the creature's feet. Pale shapes, white, thin, reaching upward. Hands, dozens of hands. They formed out of the darkness, clawing up from the floorboards like trapped souls trying to escape a grave. Their fingers curled toward my legs, trembling with hunger. My eyes widened in horror. They touched my ankles, cold, burning, wrong. I jerked backward, but they tightened, gripping hard, pulling with growing strength. The hollow one's massive frame shuddered with excitement. It spoke again. Alex, I am inside your shadow. You cannot run. A scream tore through my lungs as the pale hands dragged at my legs. I kicked violently, trying to free myself, but the grip only tightened. My phone buzzed so violently I nearly dropped it. Alex, do not let it pull you into your own shadow. Say its name now. I screamed louder than I ever had in my life. The hollow one, release me. The hands convulsed. Their grip loosened, but only slightly. The creature straightened, rising taller, its limbs stretching to scrape the ceiling. Its towering form bent over me like a collapsing tower of bones and shadow. The swirling void where its face should be pulsed with faint glowing embers, twisting and writhing like dying stars trying to escape a black hole. It whispered again, "You are almost mine." Then the hands pulled again harder. I felt my body sliding across the floor, inch by inch toward the creature's feet. The darkness beneath it expanded, forming a pit swallowing light. My phone flickered, barely hanging on. Alex, you must break the tether, the final tether, or it will take everything you are. What tether? What was left? What part of me still bound it? My vision blurred with fear. The hands tightened like cuffs of ice on my skin. The hollow one leaned closer until its void face hovered inches above mine. Its whisper seeped into my mind. Your guilt opened me. Your fear fed me. Your silence kept me. Now give me your eyes. My body convulsed in terror. I screamed through cracked lips. The hollow one, you cannot have me. You cannot have any part of me. The hands trembled violently, spasming like dying insects. The hollow one screamed. Its body folded backward in an impossible arch, limbs snapping and reforming as shadow peeled away from its shape like burning cloth. The ceiling cracked overhead, sending dust raining down. The grip on my legs loosened. I kicked free just as the hands dissolved into spiraling black dust. My phone buzzed through static. Alex, Listen, this is your moment. The tether is your guilt. You must speak it. Break it. My chest tightened. Memories flooded back, sharp as broken glass. Daniel alone in the car. My mother fading in her hospital bed. The footsteps behind me in the snow. The fear I never faced. The guilt I carried like a weight chained to my ribs. I felt my throat close. But I forced the words out through tears and shaking breaths. I am not guilty. I did not kill you, Daniel. I could not save you, Mom. I cannot carry this anymore. The room shuddered. The hollow one stumbled, its form stuttering like broken film. Shadow peeled from its limbs. Its height shrank. Its power recoiled. My phone buzzed one more time with a single message. Alex, now finish it. Say its name and command it to die. I rose to my feet, trembling uncontrollably. The hollow one screamed and lunged at me, its final desperate attack, and I opened my mouth. But for a split second no sound came out. The hollow one lunged toward me with the speed of a collapsing shadow storm, its massive limbs folding and unfolding in impossible angles as it hurled itself across the room. Its void face warped, pulling wider into an endless spiraling darkness, hungry to swallow whatever light still clung to my body. I could feel its pull, like gravity, like drowning, like being erased. My breath tore from my chest as I screamed with everything left inside me. The hollow one. The creature twitched mid-lunge, as if the name itself struck it like a hammer. Its limbs buckled, joints cracking outward. But it kept coming, dragging the darkness behind it like a cloak of night, ripping the air apart. I screamed again, louder, my voice cracking under the force. The hollow one, die. Die and release me. The room exploded with a pulse of cold light. The creature convulsed violently, its entire frame shattered into jagged angles of shadow, reshaping and collapsing like a broken marionette whose strings were on fire. Its void face snapped open wider until the swirling lights inside the darkness flickered like dying stars. But it still crawled toward me, desperate, starving, refusing to die. I stumbled backward until my back slammed into the wall. The creature reached for me, its fingers stretching long enough to scrape the floor. A sickening screech echoed as the wooden boards bent and warped beneath its claws. My phone buzzed with frantic static. Alex, do not stop. Keep speaking. This is the final tether. Break it and it dies. I inhaled sharply, freezing air stabbing into my lungs. I screamed again, words ripping out of me like fire. The hollow one, you have no power. Your hunger ends here. You do not own me. You never did. The creature let out a shriek so violent the entire room shook. Light bulbs shattered. The bed frame snapped in half. Frost sprayed across the walls as cracks spider-webbed through the ceiling. The hollow one began to collapse inward. Its massive height shrank. Its limbs folded into themselves. Shadow peeled from its body like the skin of something decaying from the inside. But it still fought. It lunged again. This time it moved like a collapsing tower, losing structural integrity, but still determined to crush everything beneath it. A long arm whipped toward me with desperate speed. The impact sent me crashing to the floor as cold burned across my ribs like liquid nitrogen. I screamed in agony, but forced my voice to rise louder than the pain. The Hollow One, I break you. I break your tether. I break your claim. The creature convulsed violently. The darkness around it shattered into fragments like shards of broken glass made from night. Each piece dissolved into dust the moment it touched the ground. Then I saw it. Inside its collapsing chest cavity, a glowing sphere. Not light, not energy, not life. Memory, my memory. The tether. I staggered to my feet, my entire body shaking. The Hollow One roared, its void face splitting in all directions like a cracking eggshell. My phone buzzed with a single line. Destroy the memory. Destroy the tether. The sphere pulsed brighter. Inside it, I saw his face. Daniel. The moment he died, the moment I blamed myself, the moment my guilt opened the door, tears blurred my vision. My throat tightened until I could barely breathe. My hand lifted on its own, reaching for the sphere as the creature screamed in fury. It tried to stop me. It rose again, twisted, broken, dragging itself forward with shattered limbs. The void inside its face burned with desperate hunger, its claws sweeping inches from my chest. But I touched the memory, and everything exploded. A burst of white heat surged through my arm into my chest like lightning made of ice. The memory shattered inside my mind, tearing through guilt-breaking chains, pulling something dark and ancient out of me with a force that ripped me backward. The Hollow One collapsed, not slowly, not violently, instantly, like darkness being sucked into a single invisible point until nothing remained. Its limbs vanished, its void face imploded, its entire form compressed into a thin, spiraling tear in the air. Then the tear snapped shut. Silence hit the room like a punch. The cold vanished. The shadows retreated. The air returned to my lungs. My knees buckled, and I fell to the floor, gasping as warmth slowly returned to my fingers. My phone buzzed one last time. Alex, you did it. You killed it. But then another message appeared immediately. Now run. Something else just woke up. The message on my phone froze my blood. Now run. Something else just woke up. My breath caught in my throat. The room around me was still trembling from the collapse of the Hollow One, shadows evaporating like smoke caught in a rising wind. But beneath that thinning darkness, beneath the fading cold, something else stirred. A low rumble vibrated through the floorboards, deeper than footsteps, deeper than breath, a sound that felt ancient, as if the bones of the house were groaning awake after a century of sleep. I forced myself to stand even though my legs felt like wet paper. Every muscle in my body screamed. My ribs throbbed from where the creature had struck me, but survival drowned out every ounce of pain. I snatched my phone from the ground. Daniel, what is waking up? What else is here? The reply came instantly, too fast, as if typed in panic. The Hollow One guarded something. It fed on shame and kept the door closed. But now that it is gone, the door is open. My chest tightened. The door. I looked toward the closet. The crack in the door was wider now than ever before. The wood around the frame had warped into a twisted oval, as if something inside had been pressing outward for hours. The darkness inside was no longer still. It pulsed like a heartbeat. No, not a heartbeat. Breathing, I stumbled backward, step by step, until my shoulders hit the far wall. The air grew heavy again, not cold this time, but thick, humid, suffocating. My lungs fought for air as a deep exhale drifted from the closet, like the breath of a sleeping animal waking up. My phone buzzed again. Alex, do not look inside. Do not stand still. Move now. My body reacted before my mind did. I lunged toward the bedroom door, grabbing the handle with trembling hands. It refused to turn. Locked from the inside by something that wasn't me. Shadows crawled over the door like black vines, tightening every second. I slammed my shoulder into it. Nothing. I kicked it. Nothing. Then came the first growl, low, rumbling, vibrating through the floor and walls like a sound dragged from miles underground. The closet door trembled. Something enormous pressed against it from the other side. I backed away slowly, my breath shallow. Another message appeared. Alex. The thing behind that door crawled long before the hollow one existed. It is older, hungrier. You must find another way out. Another growl shook the room. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The walls pulsed as if under pressure. I ran to the window, yanked it open, and leaned out. A sheer drop. 3 stories. Concrete below. Jumping meant broken bones, or worse. Staying meant something far worse. A loud crack snapped behind me. I spun around. The closet door frame was splitting, not pushed open, not broken. Split like something enormous was forcing its way through a space that could not contain it. A massive black limb slid through the widening crack. Not a hand, not a claw, nothing I could name. It had the texture of stone, mixed with the shifting fluidity of shadows underwater. Its surface writhed with thousands of tiny movements like insects crawling under skin. My heart nearly stopped. Daniel texted again. Alex, listen to me. That is the thing that gave the Hollow One its power. It does not want your mind. It wants your existence. The limb dragged itself across the floor, leaving grooves so deep the boards splintered like damp paper. A sound followed it, not a growl. Whispering, hundreds of voices, thousands, layered together in a tidal wave of agony. Help me, help me, help me. Every voice belonged to someone different. Men, women, children. Each whisper dripping with desperation so intense it made my skull throb. It was not one creature. It was every soul it had consumed, and it wanted me next. I stumbled toward the window again, gripping the sill with shaking hands. The wind from outside washed over me, warm compared to the suffocating heat filling the room. The whispering grew louder. Save us, or join us. The massive limb reached farther, bending impossibly, searching, tasting the air. The darkness behind the crack widened once more, revealing a glimpse of the creature's core. A spiraling void of screaming faces buried inside each other, shifting and melting and reforming into new shapes with every passing second. I gagged. The sight made my vision warp. Daniel's message flashed again. Alex, you cannot fight this. Jump now. This is your only chance. The creature pulled itself farther through the crack. Its size was impossible, its form infinite, bending reality around it. The room shook violently as if gravity itself trembled. My breath broke into fragments. I looked down from the window. 3 stories. Concrete. Death. Maybe. Behind me, something enormous inhaled. The air rushed backward violently, pulling dust furniture and the loose sheets toward the closet like a massive lung drawing breath. My feet lifted off the ground. Gravity reversed, sobbing forward, dragging me toward the creature. The whispering grew louder until it felt like it was inside my skull. Join us, join us, join us. My body slid across the floor toward the black limb now inches from my chest. Daniel's final message appeared. Alex, jump, live or be swallowed. I screamed, gathered the last of my strength, twisted my body toward the window, and hurled myself out. The room vanished behind me as a roar filled the air. I fell 3 stories down, the world spinning, wind tearing past me, concrete rising fast. For a split second I thought I was dead, then everything went white.